All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Wargames podcast number 22. So, tonight we have a whole fucking slew of people hanging out for the podcast, amongst which are Illyri, L. Munson, Argiota, and Foster. So yeah, we got a whole bunch of us in here tonight. Both the Munsons, my favorite one, and Ryan, and then everybody else. So, what are we talking about tonight? Well, it's going to be a couple of different things. Well, I guess firstly, thank you all for coming to hang out tonight. I know everybody's been on here, I think, except for Illyri and Foster, correct?
Affirm. That's the first time here.
All right. Oh, and there's our other guy. Look at that. He isn't late. And it's the Loster. He hasn't forgotten.
No, I haven't forgotten.
All right, so now we got even more people. Okay, so normally when I have new people on, we talk about how you got kind of introduced to the unit and where you came from and so on. So I guess we'll continue that tradition. So we'll start with you, Illyri. How did you find the 506 and what made you want to come here?
Well, to put it out straight, I found out about the unit as every other bastard here. It was, of course, Drumler's videos.
Right.
I wasn't, so don't generalize us.
Well, yeah, but you're still a bastard, so.
That's true.
Yeah, and it's kind of came down from there and got interested. Just had bought ArmA actually the same day, so hey, thought why not apply, and here I am. Interest for milsim. It's always kind of been up there, well, since I'm in the military in real life, so just a little bit of fun I wanted to do at my spare time, so
right. And you're,
came from there.
As you said, you're in the military in real life, and it's Estonia, right, that you're in?
Correct.
Right. Basically, frozen hell. is where he's at. So there you go. I remember you saying wasn't too long ago you were talking about being out in the field on fucking like training maneuvers or some shit, and it was just like ridiculously cold. I remember you telling me like the temperatures and shit. I don't remember them off the top of my head, but I remember, you know, saying like, holy fuck that.
Yeah, it gets really cold here in the winter. It's dropping all the way down to basically minus 35 Celsius, which in Fahrenheit, I really do somebody do a quick Google conversion, but it's it gets
It's
pretty
fucking
damn
cold.
in up here.
That's what it is. It's fucking cold. And so you've been here for quite a while now. I mean, you're staff sergeant, you're squad lead for Havoc 3-1. Do you happen to know off the top of your head how long you've been here?
This is a year and a half.
Year and a half? Okay, so quite a while now. So moving on to Foster, how'd you find the 506 and what made you want to join the unit?
Yeah, so I actually started kind of searching around, found some videos and stuff, and actually I think I saw one of Soto's videos first before I saw one of Captain Drumheller's there, and I actually saw the 506 on the Bohemia website before I actually bumped into those videos, and then kind of put two and two together and kind of went from there. Actually, funny enough, I bought the game 3 days before I enlisted with the 506, so there was a very steep learning curve, but definitely been a very good one, very fun.
And you are currently billeted where in the unit?
3-1 Alpha AR Gunner.
Oh, you get the fun job. That's everybody. Well, I guess not everybody, but at least most of the people I know are like, yeah, I'll carry the saw. It's always either the saw or the fucking thumper.
Yeah, it's a good position. I love it. It's been tons of fun and good squad there. So.
Oh, don't say that just because your fucking squad leader's in the channel.
Well, I have to, right? He's here.
Yeah.
He's also 3-1's resident moose runner and maple syrup tester.
I take it you're Canadian.
I sure am, yeah.
All right, so you've been, I mean, you're still a PV2, so you haven't been here for too long. When did you actually join the unit?
The 10th of December last year.
Oh, okay, so yeah, not long at all. Who was your OSUT instructor? Was it me or was it Class Bravo?
No, it was you.
Okay, and don't feel bad because I don't remember. I've had a lot of names come through OSUT, so if I remember your name, it's probably a bad thing.
Yeah, exactly.
So everybody here now has, I guess, been properly introduced to those of you listening. The rest of the guys you already know. And when I say guys, I mean Lindsay as well. Because I often joke that she's got bigger balls than most of the fucking guys in the unit. Because she is the sole female in this unit. And is also a squad leader. So anybody that gets their fucking panties in a bunch about me saying, hey guys, and Lindsay's in the channel, you can suck her dick because hers is probably bigger than yours. So,
ask Ryan, it's probably true.
Yeah, probably.
It is.
Well, that's why you married her. So the first thing I want to get into tonight is kind of a recap on the FTXs, and the first person I want to talk to about it, actually, I'm glad Dipshit was able to wake up in time and get here, is Loster, because this weekend was Loster's first operation in his new billet, which is that of a staff medic for Company HQ. For anyone that doesn't know essentially what that is or what they do, the staff medic billet was created for us to have a battle buddy essentially at Company HQ level, because we have Dagger, which is the JTAC, and then we have Dagger Uniform, which is the UAV operator. So that would put us at 3 people in Company HQ during an operation. 3 being an odd number, meaning we don't have battle buddy. So we needed a 4th person there. So we added the company staff medic billets. Now, one of those positions, or one of the medical positions at company level, is filled by the company senior medic, which for us is Sergeant Redmond now, with number 2 going to reserves. Now, staff medic doesn't really have much responsibility. There's no trainings they have to attend. It's quite honestly, it is the easiest job in the entire unit. So, Loster, what did you think of it? Your first time going in as staff medic?
I pretty much knew what to expect. I mean, I've gone in as dedicated battle buddy for you. I've gone in as dedicated battle buddy for Hammer and for Drum.
Right.
So it's pretty much the same thing, except now I can actually pull back up if they go down. It's interesting because you kind of see what's unfolding from a different point of view, because you're not responsible for anybody. Like, I've been a squad leader for quite a while, and I've mostly been in leadership billets. So when I sit back and actually observe everything, it's a really interesting point of view to see everything from.
Right, because I actually mentioned, I don't remember if it was the last podcast or the one before, because you had made that statement when you had ran with us as company HQ at one point that, being able to sit back and watch everything happen was really cool, and you likened it to watching a watch being built, just watching all the moving parts come together.
Pretty much, yeah.
And so yeah, you really get to do that as company medic, because like you said, you're not responsible for anyone per se. You're just responsible for the lives of the three other guys at company level, really. And I'm not gonna say we never get into bad situations, because we definitely do. But it's not like being a medic for a rifle squad where you've got 9 other guys you got to take care of. There's only 3 of us, so it's a lot less stress. And like you said, you're able to kind of sit back and watch things a lot more. So, I mean, I'm assuming you enjoy it since you're still doing it.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's good to just take a step back, let somebody else drive. It's like people that have been in leadership billets for a long time. They just want to breathe. They'll step down to a specialist and just fill in. It's like when you fill in, it's like, I don't want to be the one barking out shit all night. Just someone else can drive, And for me, it's also a matter of the position really works well for me, given the situation that's going on in my personal life. I don't have a lot of time to give to the unit, but I still want to be a part of it. So this being kind of lax on the attendance requirements helps me. And I also like, being in the situation where someone does go down, like if you or if one of the task force commanders does go down, or also I can assist Habit 4 if one of them goes down, you can get them back up and actually be useful. On top of that, since I do have a lot of experience, I know when I was running with Drum on Saturday nights that I was able to point things out to him. It was kind of like having an extra set of eyes, because same thing with other leadership billets. You can't have your eyes on everything all the time. So I can observe something, I cover a sector, I can watch the back, I can watch the task force commander's back while they're busy, looking at their tablets or whatever they have to do. So it's a cool job. I like it.
Yeah, and like you said, I mean, it definitely helps to have an extra set of eyes there. I mean, I've always not necessarily relied, but I've always counted on my medic being, right there with me, calling shit out alongside me, letting me know, hey, we got this going on over here. Hey, we got this going on over here. Because like you said, we can't have our eyes on everything all the time, and, talking about, as far as the attendance requirements and stuff like that, like we said, it is obviously more lax, but you do have a large responsibility when you take into account that, you're responsible for the task force commander. If that task force commander goes down, it's your job to pick them back up, which is a pretty big deal, considering if the task force commander's down, shit doesn't necessarily come to a halt, but it definitely does tend to slow down quite a bit. But like you said, you're not directly responsible for a bunch of guys. And you mentioned guys that have been in leadership positions for a long time, like to step down and just kind of let go of the reins. And even like when we fill in. And I think that's something that some guys may not understand as to why, at least I know for myself and Hammer, like when we fill in, we're doing it to have fun. Like, we've been leading for so long now. Yeah, it does get tiresome to have to constantly bark orders at people and tell them what to do and, deal with that stressful situation. It is fun sometimes to just let someone else fucking take care of it and just shoot people in the face, because let's face it, that's what we all got into this for. Which was the situation I was in Sunday with Task Force Bravo. I got to fill in as an AR gunner, and I didn't have shit for responsibility aside from shoot the bad guys, and it was one of the funnest operations I've had in a while. The downside to that being, when we do fill in a non-leadership billet, and there are mistakes being made, like grievous mistakes, it's like, okay, I've now got to step in and unfuck this situation, because yes, even though I'm filling in, I'm still, senior leadership for this unit. I need to step in and get this shit squared away. I can't allow this to keep on going. And that can sometimes be even more stressful than just being in a normal leadership position, because now, say if for Task Force Bravo, Ron, who was my team leader, say he was just completely shit in the bed and just fucking up left and right. Then essentially I would have to step up and start running that team as the AR, which is not exactly fun to have to run, the light machine gun and run the team all at the same time. It's kind of a lot to take on. Luckily, he did an alright job, so I didn't have to do that. But that can definitely sometimes be more stressful than just being in the leadership billet in the first place. And I've been in that situation where, I'm filling in as a random fucking rifleman or something, and the team leader's fucking up, or the squad leader's fucking up, and I gotta step up and take care of shit. And that sucks when that happens. When it doesn't happen, then it's great, because then I'm just able to sit back and have a good time.
Right.
And so
I will say that a lot of times. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead.
I was going to add to that basically that it's hard when someone coming from a leadership position. I mean, everybody in here, with the exception of Foster, either is a current or is either an NCO or former NCO, or they're in a leadership billet, or something like that. That when you're filling in, it's really hard. I don't know about anybody else, but it's really hard for me to not do that. It's hard after being responsible for X number of people for so long. When you do step into a position where you don't have any real responsibility, I still feel like my inner NCO like screaming at me like, we shouldn't be doing this, or we shouldn't be doing this. Isn't how I would do it. Like, I don't actually say it out loud, but it's like you notice things that are being done. Like, our team leaders probably have us go this way or cover this sector, and it's hard. It's hard to like not.
Right, it's hard to take a step
guess.
back. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I mean, I did the same thing, Sunday, even though I was filling in. And I talked about it with Williams beforehand, because they had a bunch of 2ICs and stuff stepping up in Havoc 2 Sunday night. And he said, hey, if these guys start, kind of struggling, please, kind of make some suggestions and make sure they don't fuck things up, because even though you're filling in, if you say, hey, I think we should move over here, then they'll do that. Which we do that quite a bit. I mean, anybody that watches us fill in, you'll notice that we still take orders just like everybody else. We're not going to tell someone, no, I'm not doing that. But we will make a strong suggestion and say, hey, I think we should move over here. And vast majority of the time, people are going to say, okay, yeah, let's do that. And that's not, or at least I hope it's not out of like fear, like, oh shit, the first sergeant just told me I should move my team over here, I better do it. Hopefully it's, they recognize, hey, I know what I'm doing this for a long time now. If I tell you to move over here, it's probably a good fucking idea. And very quickly to answer your question, as far as when do reserves have to play, technically nobody in reserves has to show up for an operation. They just have to be active on the forums or TeamSpeak or something once a month, but they're allowed to fill in whenever the fuck they wish, provided there's an opening. So if somebody like Ron, who sat in reserves for a very long time, but still filled in for pretty much every single fucking Sunday operation until he finally went active, yeah, you're more than welcome to do that. You technically have no attendance responsibilities, but you're allowed to fill in as much as you want, provided there's an open spot. But like I said, now Aaron is active and did finally get promoted to PFC, which everybody still thinks is fucking weird. But yeah, let's. I want to get into the actual FTXs themselves this last cycle. All 3 task forces trained on ambush, and I have to say off the bat, all 3 task forces did an outstanding job with the ambushes themselves. It's pretty common knowledge that ambushes tend to go wrong for us, because generally one fucking asshat will be skylining on the top of the hill because they want to see the convoy first, or some stupid shit like that, and they end up getting spotted and fuck up the entire ambush. That did not happen at all over this cycle. Nobody was spotted from any of the task forces to kind of set the ambush off early. The only issue there was during Task Force Alpha, the lead truck in the convoy got armored, and just like, we can't tell if it just clipped into the ground and decided to explode or what the gig was, but it just randomly detonated. Nobody fired anything at it or anything like that. It just exploded, and that made the ambush kind of kick off a couple 100 meters before we wanted it to. But they weren't so horribly out of position that we couldn't engage from where we were at. So it wasn't a huge problem, and it definitely wasn't a mistake made by anybody in the task force. It was just, shit happens. But what did you guys think of this last FTX cycle when it comes to ambushes? Did you guys enjoy them? Did you feel like you learned anything about ambushes? Just what did you guys think of them? And anybody speak up. I don't care.
I enjoyed it. It was good. It was a nice refresher, considering the last one we did, as you mentioned, didn't go well. Yeah, it was good. And like you said, everybody did the right thing. We followed our training. We got it done. Obviously, I was there for Alpha, being in Havoc 1, but I also filled in for 3-1 on Charlie, so I got to see it twice, and I enjoyed it. It was great.
I'd agree. I thought it was fun. Kind of reminded me of being back on deployment again, which kind of made me more excited for it again than like kind of dreading it, because I know like towards the end of our last operation, I was just like, okay, I'm done. Let's go on to something different.
Everybody was ready to get the fuck out of there.
Yeah, so it kind of hyped me back up for that. So yeah, it was fun.
Except for when I yelled at you to get online with everybody else that was shooting.
Yeah.
I mean, if you guys watched the video, I think I left it in the actual video. Like, I'm walking along basically where the wall was that we ended up hopping over after that CBU was dropped. And I'm walking from like right to left, I'm strafing, and all of a sudden I see tracers flying over my left shoulder. I'm like, what the fuck, man? If you hadn't had tracers in that magazine, you probably would have ended up shooting me right in the back of the fucking grape, because I wouldn't have stopped walking sideways. And luckily, I seen that tracer come over my shoulder, and I stopped and turned around and was like, Jesus Christ. So, real quick, Foster being the newest guy here, I mean, this is your first FTX cycle. What do you think of the FTXs? Do you feel like you actually learn anything from the FTXs?
Yeah, actually, absolutely. Like just taking our last one here for prime example, just the actual everything right down from like ambush tactics to the synchronization and the timing of how things want to go off. Obviously, that doesn't happen every single time, but hopefully that'll happen. And yeah, no, I definitely learned some stuff. Just like the L-shaped ambush there makes way more sense. And why would you want to be shooting from either side? Even if you're up on a hilltop on both sides, you're still shooting at each other in a sense, right? So there's lots of stuff that makes a lot more sense now, especially when you are actually in the thick of it.
Right, and that's that's the whole purpose. Obviously, the sand tables, the starting portion of the FTXs were much shorter for this cycle because there isn't really a whole lot that you need to go over when it comes to an ambush. I mean, it's a pretty simple fucking concept. You hide, you wait, and then you shoot them in the face. It's not very difficult. But, you know, like you said, an L-shaped ambush in comparison to a column ambush or a roadside ambush, a lot of people don't understand the differences between the two and why one is used over the other in certain situations. So that's like little minute shit like that is the kind of stuff that the sand tables are really good for. It's the small stuff that needs to, I guess, kind of get passed along because you can't necessarily rely on not so much common sense, but common military knowledge. You can't rely on that because not everybody has, you know, military knowledge. So we have to pass that along when we're able to. So even something, like I said, as simple as the difference between an L-shaped ambush and a column ambush and why one is used more so for vehicles and one is used more so for infantry troops. You know, that's the kind of differences you need to go over. And it's, you know, it's pretty simple. And when you understand the concept that, you know, ambushes are pretty much the exact same thing no matter what type of unit you're going against per se. You know, an ambush is used to eliminate a larger threat than your current element size. I mean, that's all it is. I mean, ambush, no matter what military is doing it, an ambush is a guerrilla tactic that's used to engage and eliminate a larger element than what you currently have. So we generally don't do it so much, and it's not necessarily because, you know, we're the largest element. We always go up against more enemies than what ground troops we have, but it's more so because of the technical side of things, because it's such a pain in the ass to get the fucking AI to listen to us and make the ambush actually work. Which luckily for this cycle, all three ambushes, all three convoys really went off without a hitch, which is incredibly fucking rare. We never get convoys to work that well as Zeus to, you know, go in a straight file and, you know, have a good time and everything like that. Even though Saturday, I had a couple little small issues with the convoy, but it still went off all right. So talking about the actual ambushes themselves, what did you guys think of the start of the ambush when everything kicked off, and all the bullets started flying and shit? Did that give you guys kind of a patriotic heart on there for a second?
Absolutely. I don't know how the other two task forces did it, but I know for Task Force Bravo, the air assets kicked it off. Like, they were the ones that initiated the ambush, which was pretty cool. Seeing a couple Hellfires or whatever the fuck they were firing just blow up the convoy, and then all of a sudden you hear 60 rifles just, you know, Moz guns going off all at the same time. It was pretty epic. I guess it also speaks to, I can't think of another place I can't think of another like thing that a person could do on the internet, like gaming wise, that would equate to that. Like, to have 60 people all together and not one of them fucking up, not one of them fucked up, not one of them shot early, not one of them poked their head out and alerted the convoy. Like, I feel like, I think you've said it in the past when you were talking about how you'll never get this many people on the TeamSpeak channel and everyone be quiet. Like, I can't think of another, like, maybe game is the word I'm looking for, type of community other than like a milsim community where you just have that level of cooperation, where not one fuckhead like decides to be an idiot and fuck it up for everybody else.
Yeah, that's you know, that was something that someone said to me a while back, talking about how there's no way you can have you know, a large group of people in a TeamSpeak channel and have basically have fucking discipline, and where everybody's not just talking over top of each other or anything like that, which obviously isn't true, you know. And I've seen people remark both in my chat and Drum's chat, you know, like people first time seeing it, like when we do debriefs or briefs or something, they're like, oh, can't believe you have that many fucking people just sitting there and nobody's throwing frag grenades and nobody's fucking yelling and screaming and stupid shit like that. Which is why, it's a Milsim community is a very impressive thing. And I don't mean just the 506. I mean, there's a lot of Milsim communities out there, realism communities that are able to do the same exact thing. And yeah, I mean, it's impressive to be able to take 60, 65 people all in one channel and nobody says a fucking word until they're told to. Like, it's kind of mind-boggling when you think about it. So, continuing on with the FTX, all three task forces, after we destroyed the convoy, we then had to kind of move to the town of origin and clear that out and, get in a little bit of CQC. And what did you guys think of that? Did you enjoy kind of the addition of being able to go clear out the town on top of doing the ambush, or do you think it would have been better to just, kind of go on like a foot patrol and find some random, enemies out there patrolling?
I enjoyed it. I thought it was awesome. Going in to kick some teeth after we took out the ambush. Yeah, it was fun. I liked it.
Yeah, it just adds a little bit to the backstory of the whole FTX itself.
It is a statement to like what our Zeus operators, like all of them, like when they put into like the stock that they put into realism. Like, yeah, we just blew up a convoy, but that convoy had to come from somewhere. Why don't we go to
Right.
where that convoy came from and fuck that up too? Like, they just lost like 2 platoons worth of dudes and tanks and BTRs. Like, they're weak now. Let's go fucking finish them off. Like that. If this was like any other game, that would be like one mission in the game. That would be one level. It's just the ambush, and then you get a loading screen, and then you go attack the base.
Yeah, and that's that's something we talked about when we were setting up for this cycle of FTXs. Is yeah, we could do just the ambush, but that's going to consist of about a minute of fucking gameplay. Because if it's done right, nothing's going to be fucking alive after a minute or so. I mean, everything should be dead. With the amount of fire we're able to bring to bear on an enemy convoy like that, like nothing should survive that fucking thing after a few seconds, really. And really none of the task forces did it. Task Force Alpha, we had a QRF that showed up that about bit us in the ass at an HQ level. That was a little fucking scary. But I mean, all the task forces pulled it off really fucking well. I mean, I was definitely impressed. So what do you guys think when it comes to FTXs? What do you guys think you would like to, I guess, train on at this point? Like, we've had the air assault FTXs, we've done some CQC, we've done some react to contact, now we've done ambush. Do you guys think there's really anything out there that's like, hey, man, I would love to do a training on this?
Actually, there's one particular subject that's been kind of been one of my pet peeves, and I would like to see that done on a whole nother level, which nearly doesn't get done as often as it actually should, because it's hell of interesting. It's hell of fun when actually Ares or somebody managed to make it work. It is ROE, escalation of force and interactions with civilians. The proper way to do it, and all that crap. We don't deal with civilians very often, I know, but whenever we do, or whenever we encounter civilians, if there could be some immersion added, like civilians talking, or actually us being able to properly interact with them, works especially well when you have two Zeus operators who could simultaneously, let's say, take control of the civilians and make them act in a certain way or do something to make the whole experience more immersive, and then to have us properly react to that, that would be very beneficial and fun for everybody. So
Right.
Definitely something I would enjoy seeing.
Yeah, and we've had, questions before as to why we don't do more civilian interaction and stuff. And from like a Zeus standpoint, one, the AI are just a nightmare to fucking deal with because, you know, when they go into combat mode, the civilians just start running all over the place. No longer listen to what you're telling them to do as Zeus, which is one of the most, I'd say, immersion breaking things when you have a civilian just running across your line of fire, and it's like, you know, shit like that doesn't happen. Like, I'm sorry, it doesn't, you know, and you don't roll into a town that's got hostiles and civilians in it, and the civilians are, you know, bullets start flying, and the civilians are just hanging out, running around. Like, no, like, if you're rolling into a town where there's bad guys there and they're getting ready to fucking engage you, civilians are hiding in their fucking house. Like, that place looks like a goddamn ghost town. You know, they're not just running around all over the place. That's, you know, that was always one of the biggest, or I guess scariest things when in country. If you go to roll through a fucking little shithole village and you don't see anyone outside, it's fucking terrifying because you think, okay, nobody's outside, none of the kids are playing, something's about to go down, we're gonna go around this town. So yeah, from a Zeus standpoint, it's incredibly hard to be able to get civilians to cooperate and do what you want them to do. Now, as far as civilian interaction and the Zeus operators, you know, talking to the guys and kind of RPing a little bit, I mean, I can tell everybody, at least for myself, the reason I don't do it, we operate in foreign countries. I am not foreign. I am not Middle Eastern. I'm not Korean. Nothing. I don't do accents. And for me, if I was playing the game and, say, Soto was Zeusing, and he took control of an AI and was role-playing as a civilian AI, I can't, I guess, suspend my belief enough to think, okay, that's not Soto, that's a civilian that's talking to me in an American accent.
It's hard to do.
Yeah,
Hello,
or
Americans.
Yeah, or that's, you know, an American doing a really, really horrible Middle Eastern accent.
Right.
Please fucking stop.
Hey, they're fantastic.
I fucking hate when people do it. It's just, it completely breaks the game for me. It's like, dude, just fucking stop talking. I know you're not Afghani. Just shut the fuck up. All right.
Yeah, you don't roll in. You don't walk into Baghdad and hear people like, "Oh, hello."
Yeah, exactly. It's yeah. I can't do it, man. It fucking kills the game for me. So yeah, that's majority of the time. That's why you're not gonna see our Zeus operators taking control of civilians and talking to the guys and stuff like that. It's just it. I personally tell them, like, unless you can fucking, and you know, if we're supposed to be playing Russian troops or something, unless you can sound like fucking Putin himself, don't try and, you know, come off with an accent because it kills the game for people. And I personally fucking hate it. What about the rest of you? Do any of you guys have, you know, stuff that you'd really like to see us train on?
I do. I mean, the whole idea of what Illyri was talking about with civilians is awesome. I know it's difficult, obviously.
Yeah,
with
I mean,
ArmA,
and
but
don't get me wrong. Personally, I would love to do it. I absolutely fucking love coin operations. Well, I love and hate them at the same time. They're fucking terrifying. And it's what I had to deal with the most. But it is fun from a gameplay standpoint. So I definitely want to do them. It's just not feasible, really.
right. And so we've talked about this before. I don't think on stream, but I would really like that because I do want to do a mission or a deployment at some point, either in like a U.S. held territory or U.S. close ally, like an English speaking place, or even, you know, mainland U.S. or something at some point. Because then you can have those civilian interactions and no one has to do any goofy accents. I don't know if that's feasible or what, but it would be a lot of fun to do that. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
let's say even if we are on an FTX cycle, we're currently deployed in realism standpoint where it's we're on basically on U.S. soil or U.S. territory. When we're on FTX cycles most of the time. So even if we implement something like that in our FTXs, let's say there are civilians bound to live somewhere nearby, right, in a nearby town or whatever. We just do a patrol over there and just implement this train with those guys. I mean, why not, right? I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be an operation, but it could be happening during an FTX, let's say.
Yeah, but I personally, I would love to, and we talked about this a while ago on the podcast. I would love to do a deployment on U.S. soil. Or, you know, if there was a map, a good U.S. based map, you know, where we could fight through fucking backyards and shit and hop over white picket fences, I would fucking love it. Absolutely love it.
Have somebody invade us for a change.
Like Far Cry
exactly.
5. We were talking about that yesterday.
Yeah, and
Just let Far Cry 5 happen.
yeah, exactly. Well, you know, we'll go take out the religious cult. I'm fine with that, you know. So yeah, that I would love to do that. I personally have yet to see a good US map. I know there's one out there, I think it's called like Middle Town or some shit like that. I can't remember for sure. But it looked alright, but it was really small. Like it definitely isn't big enough for us to use even for an FTX cycle. Which kind of sucks. I mean, we could use it for like a squirrel mission or something, but we couldn't use it for an entire task force. And you know, that's kind of I guess kind of one of the downsides to having a unit this size. You know, a lot of people don't really take into account when saying, hey, why don't you use this map or why don't you use this map? And it's like, dude, we've got fucking 65 people on a server and we're using helicopters and shit that can fly, you know, 10 clicks in a matter of minutes. Like, we need a big fucking map to be able to use it for deployment because you know, like I said, we have a ton of people and transport that can get across this terrain very quickly. B, we need a map that's going to last us a few months for us to use it for a deployment. So it's got to be big. You know, we don't want to keep operating in the same fucking area. It would make no sense to be on a map that's, you know, 5 clicks by 5 clicks, and we go in and clear out this town, and then the very next week we got to go in and clear out the exact same town. Like, it doesn't make any sense. So you know, we've got to have a very big map for us to be able to do deployments, and that's difficult to find a map that is big enough for us to use but still has performance that is good enough to have 60 some people on there and, you know, 500 plus AI. It's a very tricky balance to find, and a lot of testing and a lot of work goes into deciding on a new map. And speaking of maps real quick, I know I talked about this a little while back on one of the other podcasts, but since we have so many of you here, I think we should bring it up again. What area would you guys like to be deployed to? Obviously, you know, Munson already mentioned U.S. type campaign, but what about the rest of you? What kind of terrain would you like to fight in?
I personally prefer like winter
Yeah, I
terrain
was just gonna say
once.
snow.
So, yeah,
Oh,
that's
not
What's it with
winter.
all you motherfuckers
No
trying to
winter.
turn us into the goddamn mountain division?
I want the perfect terrain for 1.4. A little bit of mountains in the perfect area, not too high. It would be great.
Oh, here we
No
go
trees
again.
that are in the way.
Every fucking terrain is perfect for 1.4.
No, Klafkan was
If you know
horrible.
how to do your job.
But Klafkan is great for fucking
No, because we
weapon
didn't see
squads.
any armor for like half of the time because it couldn't get to where we were.
I was say, fucking Klafkan is a gigantic open desert with a bunch of mountain ranges. You can shoot shit from 3 clicks away.
Yeah.
The bad ones for 1.4 is more so like the jungle type shit, like fucking Tanoa and shit like that. But the jungle maps are bad, not just because of that standpoint, but more so just because of the fact that fucking AI is dog shit and end up shooting you through the trees and shit, and we've fucking experienced that plenty. Okay, so Lindsay votes for something like the Arctic Circle with nothing in the way of her missiles. Who else has an idea?
Well, for somebody that stands on top of a hill for most of an FTX, I would like something that's a little bit thicker with foliage, just so we can
It's a
get
map,
down
not a
into the
penis.
mix.
It doesn't need to be thick.
Yeah, it does. It's thick with 2 C's.
Well, I mean,
So you want
Yeah,
so
someone with a little foliage so you can get us in a mix, so we're not just standing, a click behind. Or
Basically
not that,
describing
but
Tanoa at this point.
yeah.
Oh,
Well, are you talking like a jungle type environment or more of
No,
a
just a
deciduous type
forested.
forest, like kind of like
Yeah.
Chernerus,
correct?
except for not on Chernerus because fuck that place.
Exactly.
Hey, Cherner's summer is the bomb.
No, honestly, I have to admit, Drum showed me a while back a rework of Chernerus. It's like a post-apocalyptic Chernerus. It fucking looks amazing. I mean, I hate Chernerus because I have horrible fucking memories of that place, but it looks really good. I mean, we wouldn't necessarily use it for a deployment. It's more so like one of those, zombie type gigs, but it looks fucking awesome. What about you, Loster? Where do you want to go?
Well, number one, I mean, it doesn't have to be in the mountains, but I mean, like a winter map would be fun, even if it's like, Chernerus winter, just something like that. Just a map that already exists, but then has snow on it. There's some World War II maps that have snow on them that are kind of cool.
Yeah.
But I think we've talked about this before. I would love like a good jungle map, but we run into that fucking problem that ArmA being ArmA, that like Tanoa is an example. Tanoa is a gorgeous map, and it's really cool to walk through the trees and you're in the woods like some predator shit. But the AI can see you through the fucking foliage, so it's
the other really good one, and I think we've talked about it before, is the Vietnam map. I love that map. Like, just the look of it, the aesthetics, the feel of that map is amazing. It's really disappointing when it comes to the AI, which is obviously a big downside for us.
I run into that problem too when I'm trying to build. Like, there's been times where I wanted to build missions. I wanted to build a template to have like a recurring, because I like doing fun ops too. Like a recurring, we'll do like a recurring Vietnam thing. So I'll take I have to scout the maps out. I have to fly around them in the editor and try to find like, okay, no, this one's too small. Like, it's the same thing that you run into when you're trying to pick a map for FTX.
Mm-hmm.
This map is too small. There's nowhere for the helicopters to land. This map is literally just forest. It's just jungle. The helicopters can't land anywhere. We'd have to fast rope, and God forbid we fucking bump into a tree when we're fast roping and die. So
well, you'll knock the tree down and you'll die.
Yeah. So it's like you run into that problem where there's plenty of gorgeous maps out there that probably would work well for maybe a one-time use, but not if you're going to commit an entire realism unit to stay on there for months.
Right. And Shell mentions in chat Nziwa Sogo. We've actually used Nziwa Sogo a long time ago for an FTX cycle. And that one was all right. The AI wasn't too terrible on it as far as shooting through the brush and stuff, because that one's, it's not like Tanoa in the sense that it doesn't have a fuck ton of underbrush. It's more so just kind of the canopy is really thick. But yeah, it's a pretty nice map. I don't exactly have great memories of it because of the shit Zeusing that we had at the time, but we could potentially rotate back to it eventually, but we try to have a very, very long gap in between using a map more than once, just so it doesn't get repetitive at all. And before we go too much farther, I do want to mention to everybody, as you should be able to tell from the titles, we are giving away a couple of games tonight. One of the games we'll be giving away is going to be Dark Souls 3 with the DLC. So if any of you guys are interested in Dark Souls or Bloodborne or any of those style of games, we will be doing a raffle for that here in a little bit. And you'll have a chance to win a free copy of that. The second game we are going to give away is actually kind of winner's choice. What I'm going to do is whoever wins the raffle for my game giveaway, I guess, I will have you contact me on Twitch, tell me what you want, and I will buy you any game on Steam up to $60. Any fucking game you want, I'll buy it for you and send it to you. So we'll be doing that towards the end. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to open up the raffle for Dark Souls 3. Now, unfortunately, I can only do this on the Twitch side. It's too much of a pain in the ass to be able to do it on both Twitch and YouTube. So I'm going to open the raffle up, and to enter the raffle, very fucking simple. All you have to do is type !raffle in the Twitch chat, and that'll get you entered into the raffle to win a free copy of Dark Souls 3 with the DLC for it. So if you guys want in on that, make sure you hit !raffle in the Twitch chat, and you get a chance to win a free copy of that. So, moving on from there, one of the things I want to, I guess, very quickly touch on tonight is actually not game related at all. Some of you may or may not know that Sunday night, Mr. Kevin Smith suffered a massive heart attack and was rushed to the hospital in Glendale. I believe it was Glendale. Luckily, he did survive. They were able to save his life. He had total blockage in one of his arteries. The heart attack that he had, I guess they called a widowmaker. Had he not gotten medical treatment as quickly as he did, he would have definitely been dead. So, you guys may wonder, well, why in the fuck am I even bringing this up? This has nothing to do with gaming, and so what? Some fat guy had a heart attack. I am a huge fan of Kevin Smith. Think what you will of him. I don't really give a shit, but I have enjoyed every single movie he's ever done. Reason being, his movies, really the trifecta of those three independent directors, Kevin Smith, Robert Rodriguez, and Quentin Tarantino. Those three guys were the first ones, at least for me, that made movies that were dialogue focused, and the dialogue really kind of made you think. It wasn't just mindless dribble. The biggest example of that being Clerks, and Clerks 2 as well.
I'm not even supposed to be here today. Jesus.
Yeah. Actually, you were, fucker.
You know how much money the average judge mopper makes? Clerks was the first DVD I ever bought.
It was the first VHS I ever bought. You guys, as Loster brings up jizz moppers, you may think, well, it's just a bunch of dick and fart jokes. Like, how does that make you think? But when you sit down and watch it, it's normal everyday conversation that people have. And that's always been, I guess, one of my hang-ups with, Hollywood in general is most movies, and especially TV shows, people don't talk like normal people. They, like, the biggest one for me is obviously network television, because they can't swear, and nobody fucking swears on network television. But especially, I love how, like, in crime dramas and cop shows and shit like that, there isn't a single cop that's like, this motherfucker, when you know goddamn well they do. So when those movies came along, movies like Clerks, Pulp Fiction, and things along those lines, it was the first time I got to see Friends Like Mine on the screen, which was really fucking cool. So when I heard that news Sunday that Kevin had a massive heart attack, I was immediately concerned. A lot of people haven't been big fans of his movies as of late. I personally still love them, but not just his movies. I also love his Q&As that he does. I've been very lucky to have actually attended one of his Q&As at the State Theater in Ann Arbor, Michigan. And he is probably the only person that could keep me entertained enough just by talking, that for 3 hours I sat there in a theater and never stepped foot outside to go smoke a cigarette. Like, there's not many movies where I'll sit through the entire movie and not step outside and go have a fucking cigarette at some point in time. But I sat there and listened to that fat bastard talk for 3 hours, and not once did I give a shit about going to have a cigarette. And that's pretty special to me, that I can just sit there and listen to this guy talk about what it's like to have Bruce Willis on a fucking movie and not want to walk out of the room at some point. And that Q&A that we were at, he talked about it multiple times afterwards, because there was a guy there, because they let people come up and ask questions and shit, hence Q&A. And the guy asked if Kevin would sign his arm, and he was going to go get his signature tattooed on him. Which, whatever. I personally don't think it's smart, but I'm not going to tell people what to fucking get tattooed on them. I'm the last person to fucking judge. But he asked him, hey, will you sign my arm? I'm going to go get it tattooed on me after we get done here. And Kevin Smith's like, no, I won't. And everybody's like, aw. And he was like, if you want to make it original, let me sign your ass and go get that tattooed on you. And everybody just kind of sat there stunned for a second. The dude's like, all right. And I shit you not, this motherfucker brought him up on stage, dropped trowel, and signed his fucking ass cheek. And this dude, as soon as we got out of the show, went to a local fucking parlor there in Ann Arbor and got Kevin Smith's signature tattooed on his ass cheek and then sent him pictures of it. And Kevin Smith was like sharing those pictures for months that this dude actually did it. He, no bullshit. I mean, he did not pussyfoot around. He got his signature tattooed on his ass cheek. And that's something that I'll fucking remember until the end of my days, because I just thought it was fucking hilarious.
That's something to tell the grandkids.
Yeah.
Hey, Grandpa, what's that on your shirt?
If Kevin Smith had died, that'd be a pretty valuable tattoo.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen your grandpa's ass?
Not by choice.
When they get old and incontinent, you gotta clean them out.
Oh no. I even told my own fucking father, I was like, you ever get to a point where you're wearing a diaper, motherfucker, you're getting checked into the home the next day, because I am not wiping your ass. I love you, but I was like, I know you did it for me when I was a kid, but you didn't do it for me when I was fucking 30, so unless you're gonna come over and start wiping my ass every time I gotta take a dump, you're on your own, homie.
I'll agree with your point, Brewer. I'm a big Kevin Smith fan too. It's really. I know you probably don't want to spend too much time on this, but it's really rare to get a director who can just put two actors at a table and have them talk you have a scene that's like 15, 20 minutes sometimes, and it's just two dudes or three dudes sitting at a table and they're just bullshitting.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not really relevant to the story. It's not relevant to the plot, but it's really entertaining to watch. It's just
because it's a real conversation. They're talking about real shit.
Captivate you, like in the beginning of Reservoir Dogs when they're all sitting around the table at breakfast
at the diner. Yeah,
just talking about Madonna.
That's like, honestly, for me, the end of, kind of towards the end, the final act of Clerks 2, when they're in the jail cell and Dante and Randall have their big blowout fight. And I was like, dude, I've had fights exactly like that with my friends, like to where it gets so personal and so heated because you know each other so well and you know exactly what pushes the buttons of the other guy, and you do care so much about each other, but all of that love also produces a fuck ton of rage when you're genuinely mad at them. Like, I've been in that exact situation before. I know how it feels to love this guy so much like they're your brother, or they may even be your brother, and when they genuinely piss you off, how it feels to fucking really get in that knockdown drag out fight where fucking fists are going to be thrown any second. And I had never, at least that I can remember, I haven't really seen that depicted in a movie as well as it was in Clerks. And yeah, they're in a fight because they had a donkey show in the center of a fucking fast food restaurant and shit. Like, it's it's a completely ludicrous reason, to really be having a fight. But when they start kind of getting into it, you realize, the fight they're having isn't about a fucking donkey show at all. It's about these guys spending the last fucking 12 years of their life together, or even more. And I love that. But yeah, long short on it is, there's very few times where I guess a celebrity will pass away or something like that where I'm really affected by it. I can pretty much name off the celebrities that, I know when they died, I know where I was, being, guys like Kurt Cobain and George Carlin and, more recently Chris Cornell and Prince. And yes, I did love Prince. You guys say what you want. That dude was fucking one of the most amazing entertainers this planet has ever seen. But the whole reason I bring it up is when I heard that news and, I was relieved to hear that he was okay, that he survived. But as soon as I seen that he suffered a massive heart attack, and knowing that's what his dad passed away from was a massive heart attack, and his mother also has heart problems, I just instantly sunk in my chair. Like, dude, I can't imagine never being able to see a Kevin Smith movie again, like a new Kevin Smith movie, or to be able to see a new Q&A or a new Jay and Silent Bob Get Old. I hated the idea of that. And it's, like I said, it's very rare where something like that will happen to a celebrity and I'm affected by it. But I definitely was there. I'm super fucking happy that he's okay. So yeah, again, I didn't want to spend a ton of time on it, but just to, I guess, make everybody aware of it if they hadn't already. If you're a Kevin Smith fan, he did make it alright. He just posted a video yesterday, I think it was, on YouTube, kind of explaining what all happened and that he was going to be alright, but he's going to be basically on a lot of prescriptions and stuff like that now to kind of get shit taken care of, but he is going to be okay. So I was very happy to see that. I also seen that I guess what's his name, the fucking one of the Chris's, Chris Pratt, the one that played Star-Lord, he said something on Twitter or some shit about, sending prayers to Kevin Smith, and I guess a bunch of people started fucking freaking out on him, like giving him shit about it. I was like, what the fuck, man? You fucking internet trolls are trying to bust Star-Lord's balls about, trying to basically send well wishes to a guy that just almost died. Like, how fucking pathetic are you pieces of shit? And then, of course, James Gunn fucking stepped in and kind of layeth down the Marvel dick and was like, shut the fuck up. Which was nice to see. So, the next thing I want to get into here is, I actually talked about it a little bit last week, and that is here very soon, actually, next month, we have Far Cry 5 being released. And generally, I would not be that excited for it. I haven't really played a Far Cry since Far Cry 3. I played 4 a little bit, but I couldn't get more than like an hour or so into it. I just couldn't give a shit. But the reason I am excited for Far Cry 5 is apparently the entire campaign is going to be 2-player co-op, which is incredibly rare in games nowadays. Ubisoft has been doing it more and more, obviously, with Division and Wildlands. They're getting more into the co-op genre, if you will, which is really nice to see. But what about you guys? Is Far Cry 5 even on your guys' radar, or is it something you guys don't give a shit about?
Oh, of course. It's it's been kind of on the radar since from the start, but I have kind of a strange relationship with all the new games. I'm aware of what they're about and when they're coming out, but I tend to stay away from all the media and all the stuff going on around it, because most things that ruin new games for a lot of people is that they're being overhyped.
Mm-hmm.
And I just tend to stay away from all the new stuff that's coming out about it, the new releases and all that, just so I can get the fullest and the best, let's say, new experience when it first comes out. So I play it, I know as little as I can about it, and that's all the fun for me to discover.
Right, you want to go into it kind of blind, not really knowing anything ahead of time, and not being, disappointed by the hype train, which is definitely fucking understandable, especially in today's day and age.
Exactly.
What about the rest of you guys? Is anybody else excited to check out Far Cry?
I know I am. I'm I'm hopeful because actually I never really got through Far Cry 3 because that was before I really got into gaming as my full-time hobby. So I never really finished that. I finished through Far Cry 4. That was awesome. But I'm still kind of weary of, Ubisoft. So yeah, I'm gonna have to wait and see on that one and see how good of a job they do because I'm being cautiously optimistic.
Well, is there any of you that are just like, no, I don't give a shit. Fuck Far Cry, to hell with Ubisoft. I'm not interested in checking it out at all.
It's
Somebody speak.
Yeah, it's funny. We were just having this conversation last night. Actually, I think Ryan, were you still in the room there when we were chatting with Locke about this? And yeah. So, like, I'm in the same boat as you, Brewer. I played Far Cry 3, played it all the way through. Good game, all that stuff. Got 4, and I honestly couldn't even tell you how many hours I have in it. Very little. Never finished it, and just never really picked it up again. And we were talking about how Ubisoft is kind of starting to seem like they're making games where it's just the same game with a different skin. And it's getting to the point where like Assassin's Creed and Ghost Recon Wildlands and Far Cry, like all of them, they're starting to turn into almost the same, where it's just a giant 10-kilometer wide map, but it's only an inch deep, right? Like it's all the same repetitive kind of gameplay. And
Right.
I mean, I'll probably pick up Far Cry 5 and I'll probably play it, and the whole co-op thing is probably going to save this game, I think. But they got to kind of maybe diversify a little bit, or make something entertaining again. Like we were just talking about last night, how we don't wake up on Saturday and go like, holy shit, I need to get to the computer or get to the Xbox and play like we're 10 years old anymore, right? It's totally different nowadays. And obviously that's probably part of that's real life and whatnot. But, there's very few games I can think of off the top of my head that have come out in the last little bit that I'm like, holy shit, I need to spend my whole day on this.
Yeah, and I would agree completely as far as the repetitiveness. I mean, that's the biggest reason I haven't played Assassin's Creed Origins again. It's a beautiful game. I mean, absolutely stunning visuals. But it's very repetitive. Like you said, it's a massive map, but there's nothing really there. It's just the same shit over and over. Climb this tower, unlock this area, clear out this stronghold. It was the same way in Far Cry 3 and Far Cry 4. I mean, that's pretty much why I stopped playing Far Cry 4, is it's like, I don't want to go clear out another fucking bandit camp. I've already cleared out 15, and I have half the fucking map uncovered. Like, I don't want to do this shit for 40 fucking hours. And Assassin's Creed very much so the same way. So yeah, I absolutely agree that they need to find something new to bring in, something to change it up a little bit, and co-op may be what does that at least a little bit. And I agree I think that's gonna kind of save the game, at least for me. It's still gonna be okay, go clear out this camp, go climb this tower, whatever, but having another person there completely changes the dynamic, because you can approach it different ways. You can have, one person on Overwatch and one person go in, or both people go in, or, whatever. It makes it not necessarily a whole new game, but it may make it kind of a whole new experience, being able to do it with a buddy, which is a big deal for me. I'm always a huge, cheerleader for co-op games, which is why I was not necessarily disappointed with Division and Wildlands. I mean, I had my fun with both of them, but, there was problems with them that I think definitely should have been addressed and never were. At least with Wildlands, I don't think the fucking insane bullet drop has ever been addressed. So until that happens, I sure as fuck won't be picking that back up. But yeah, I'm hopeful for it. Simply because of the co-op. If it didn't have co-op, I would give no fucks whatsoever. I would not buy the game. I wouldn't be playing it. Nothing. Because it's so repetitive. But because it has co-op, solely because of that, I'll check it out. I talked about before that I'm not a big fan of the story. I think the story of Far Cry 5 is just absolutely ridiculous. I know I'm going to find it difficult to suspend my belief enough to think that there's some religious fucking cult or whatever out there with like fucking RPGs and attack gunships and shit like that in Montana or wherever the fuck it's supposed to be. But you know, we'll see how it goes, and hopefully like I said, hopefully the cooperative aspect of it saves it for me. So as moving on from Far Cry, is there anything else besides fucking Red Dead? Because everybody is excited for that. Or actually, I should ask: are any of you guys not excited for Red Dead 2? Is there anyone that's just like, yeah, I don't give a fuck?
I'm scared. I'm scared
Scared, I can understand.
because of Rockstar's their stance now, considering how they've made so much money on shark cards and microtransactions on GTA that they publicly stated that every game going forward is going to adopt that kind of business model.
Mhm.
Might not be the exact same, but considering how, if anybody's played GTA 5 online recently, it's like every time they release something new, it's more expensive. So you have to grind harder and harder. Someone actually made a video on YouTube. I don't remember the name of it. If I could, I would link it. But someone made a video about how much time you actually have to put in to be able to buy some of the shit that you need to buy now. And
Oh yeah, for GTA.
yeah, and every update it just gets longer and longer. So basically, it's Rockstar saying, I mean, you can do this the hard way if you want, or you can just throw us $50 and get $1 million, and you can just buy it right now.
Yeah.
And I saw the trailers for Red Dead's like single player stuff, and thankfully it has single player,
Yeah.
which is to take nothing away. If anything else that you take away from Rockstar, they're good writers. They got some HBO level fucking staff on their writer
Oh, yeah.
staff. Like I'm one of those people that like I hate when, like if I play a video game with my wife gets really impatient, and it's really fun to watch her because she loves to play games, but she hates the cutscenes, so she'll skip it, and I'm like, oh, don't fucking skip! I want to see what happens.
Right.
she'll skip it, and I won't. I love watching, especially with Rockstar games, and especially the first Red Dead. Some of those cutscenes were like Metal Gear level, like fucking 15, 20 minutes long, and
Yeah, but they were entertaining.
yeah, it's like watching a Tarantino movie. I
Yeah.
loved it.
And very quickly, I forgot to mention, when we were talking about the co-op and Ubisoft, with seeing Far Cry go co-op, like I was talking about this with Drum the other night, I would fucking love to see a co-op Assassin's Creed, a true one. Like I know they tried to fucking do it a while back with some
Syndicate,
stupid
right?
shit. Yeah, I think it was
Yep.
Syndicate. And it wasn't done properly. Like it wasn't the campaign that was co-op. But yeah, that would completely revive the game for me to be able to have a co-op campaign in Assassin's Creed. That would be fucking epic. I would be willing to climb 50 fucking towers on the goddamn map as long as I can do it with someone else and, dive off the top of a roof and us hit 2 guys instead of 1 with the hidden blades. Like that would make it a whole new goddamn game for me. I would absolutely love it. But to get back to Red Dead, yeah, I completely agree. I'm super fucking excited for it, but like you said, I'm also scared. I'm apprehensive because of the microtransaction part of it, but it does have the saving grace of having the single player. And I've never been a huge, I'm not going to say it, not a huge fan of GTA multiplayer. Like it's very fun, but I didn't buy the game for the multiplayer. I bought it for the single player. That's why I bought GTA. And it's going to be the same thing with Red Dead. I'm not buying Red Dead for the multiplayer, whatever the fuck way it may be. I don't really give a shit about the multiplayer. I'm buying it for the single player campaign. So I'm not as apprehensive about it because I have no stake in the multiplayer. I want the single player campaign.
Yeah, I'm in the exact same boat as you there, Brewer. Like, I'm a bit of a Rockstar fanboy when it comes to their single player stuff. Their multiplayer stuff is I can take it or leave it. It's fun at times, but you know, like Loster was saying there, the whole microtransactions and whatnot. But I'm a little bit scared for a different reason, in the sense of like, I think we all remember when Red Dead first came out and how amazing that was and how groundbreaking it was. And like I'm assuming, like everybody else, I played the shit out of that game. But at the same time, it's been so long, and the hype has been so, like, it's been hyped so much that I'm almost scared of getting let down a little bit, which I don't think will happen from Rockstar, but it's a possibility.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, like you said, it has been a long time. They have, who knows how many of the original people from Red Dead are still working on the new one. But I do have faith in their writing ability. Like Luster was saying, you know, they still have some very, very good writers, and even if it's not the same team per se working on it, hopefully they are fans, because I know a lot of, you know, Rockstar employees, you know, they really do play their games and they enjoy their IPs, and they do actually give a shit about it. So yeah, there is definitely some justifiable concern there, considering it's been, you know, so long since the last one. But I think when it comes to storytelling, especially when it, you know, they're going up against the likes of, you know, CD Projekt and Naughty Dog and stuff like that, I hope they realize, you know, hey, we can't fuck around with the story on this. Like, we really need to fucking nail it, because we have serious competition out there when it comes to story-based campaigns.
Well, realistically, that's all that game, like, multiplayer aside, that's the only reason that half of us are probably going to buy that game is single player story, right? So
Yeah, I mean, especially considering the original didn't have multiplayer, you know, so
Yeah,
all the fans of the original game, they didn't play the first one for multiplayer anyways because it didn't have multiplayer.
yeah, it did.
It did?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it had the stupid like
It had like a free roam thing.
Yeah, yep. I was completely wrong on that, because that was right after they first introduced the multiplayer on GTA, where you could have one other buddy in there, but you had to stay like on the same camera.
Yeah, on San Andreas. Yeah.
Yep.
I remember that. It was like hidden too. I remember we had to Google, because we got San Andreas for PS2. I had to Google and figure out how to do it, and it was like it was hard to figure out. But the Red Dead 1 had. I feel stupid saying this, but it's really like a weakness of mine. It's kind of like an Achilles heel of mine. Red Dead 1 has, you can play poker online, and
Yeah.
that's such a. Dead Rising 2, you can play poker, and that's all. If Red Dead 2 has online poker, where your friends just sit around a table and fucking play poker, I am all about that. I would love to do that.
You know, you can do that on like tabletop sim and shit, right? Like, you don't have to go
Yeah,
buy a
but-
$60 game to play poker.
Yeah, but you can't be a cowboy sitting in your chair with your
Oh
spurs
my
dangling.
Just put a fucking cowboy hat on.
I don't own a cowboy hat.
Well, it sounds like a fucking you problem. If you like Western poker, you better buy you a goddamn cowboy
Yeah,
hat.
and then when your friend beats you, you can fucking shoot him. You can
I guess that depends on how close you are to him. Yeah, exactly. You can do fucking pizza bets, man, like Yogi said in chat there.
I would love to do a tabletop poker thing. I'd love to do that.
It was fun. We did it
I lose.
New Year's what was it, 2 years ago now, when we did the Secret Hitler that night. We also played poker. It went all right, with the exception of having to explain how to play poker. I think there was a couple of people in there that had never played poker before, so it was a bit of a learning experience whilst we're trying to play the game. So that was fun.
Still don't know how to play poker.
Yeah.
Well, I'm good at being Hitler, bad at playing poker.
Yeah.
Ryan, I need you to stop saying how good you are at being Hitler, because you say it way too much. Between Hearts of Iron and fucking Secret Hitler, there's just way too much Third Reich shit going on in your life. I need you to
I
knock it
know.
off.
I'm sorry.
Well, the next thing I wanted to talk about is, I don't know how interested any of you guys are in CD Projekt Red's next endeavor, which is Cyberpunk 2077. But they released some info on it very recently. They've kind of been ramping up the information more and more as of late, kind of, steaming up the hype train, if you will. But the lead developer, or the CEO of CD Projekt Red, had an interview and talked about it and said that Cyberpunk 2077 is going to be a true RPG and even more ambitious than The Witcher 3. Which, when you think about it, for them to say, yeah, this is going to be even bigger than The Witcher 3, that is fucking insane. Especially if you take into account, Heart of Stone or whatever it was, and Blood and Wine, the 2 DLCs for it. To say that this game is going to be more ambitious, that's pretty fucking big. And I don't want to, kind of fall prey to that hype train, but when you're talking about a developer that's got as good of a track record as CD Projekt Red, and they say this game is going to be even more impressive than this game that you love so much from us, I find it very difficult to not get excited for that. I've said many a times that CD Projekt Red is kind of the darlings of game development, and for them to come out and make a statement that bold, I say I can't help but get excited for that. What about you guys? Is Cyberpunk on your guys' radar? Is it something that you guys have been interested in, or has anybody just not heard of it at all?
Never heard of it.
I've never heard of it.
Really?
I know you and Locke talk about it a lot. What's their game that's like their claim to fame? Like what's their game, like their franchise game?
The Witcher,
right?
The Witcher. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. The essentially, if you have played The Witcher, obviously you know how amazing of a game it is. But Cyberpunk 2077 is essentially Blade Runner meets The Witcher. It's going to have the storytelling, or actually, really, it's not even Blade Runner meets The Witcher. It's Blade Runner the fucking game. There is basically androids that are, kind of like replicants. And it's in this semi-dystopian future with, flying cars and shit like that. It looks almost identical to Blade Runner. I mean, one of the very few, previews that we've seen of the game, it's not in-game footage, it's a cinematic preview, but it shows one of the police cars. And I mean, it looks so goddamn similar to the cop cars that were in Blade Runner. So those of us that grew up with that movie, it's definitely, you can definitely see the similarities between the game and Blade Runner, or even the new Blade Runner.
Did you like the new Blade Runner?
Oh, I absolutely loved it. I totally loved it. It was a true sequel, one of the very few sequels that have come out lately that I say stands right next to the original and is a genuine sequel.
See, the other thing too about that one is it's it's in the world of like things that can't get that much more original. It seems like we're kind of hitting this wall of movies are repeating themselves, games are repeating themselves. It's about probably one of the freshest takes on an RPG. It looks like, anyways, like that's a lot of speculation, obviously, because all we have is a cinematic trailer. But like there's the girl with the blades out of her arms, and the flying cop car and stuff like that. Like it looks intriguing.
I did find it funny though that we've had that cinematic trailer for quite a while now. I mean, it's been out there for a long time. But I did find it funny that you mentioned that girl with the blades in her arms. And I watched Black Panther last weekend, and shit, now I can't remember his name. The villain in that, not Killmonger, but the other villain that's in it. God, I can't remember his goddamn name now. fuck. But he has basically a cannon inside of his arm, and his arm opens up almost the exact same way that hers does in that cinematic trailer for the blades. But instead of a blade, it's a big ass fucking vibranium cannon that comes out of his arm. And when I seen that, I was like, huh. That's kind of interesting, because I've seen that and it instantly made me think of that trailer, because I've watched that trailer so many goddamn times now. But yeah, from what we've seen of it, it's The Witcher 3 in the future. And it's going to have, that same story element that The Witcher had. The difference being, though, they say that it's going to be a true RPG in the same sense that Witcher is, but obviously in the future, it's not melee-based combat, or at least in this future, it's not melee-based combat. It's going to be a lot of gunplay. I'm sure there's still going to be some melee stuff in there as well. But this is one of the things, I watched the Pretty Good Gaming video about 2077, and talking about the concerns on how well they're going to be able to do the gunplay in an RPG sense, and what other RPGs have we seen that that have gunplay to them. And one of the guys very well brought up Mass Effect. Mass Effect, whether you enjoy the series or not, is very much so an RPG and is based around gunplay. And I would love to see that style of kind of cover-based gameplay where you have the RPG elements as well, but you have gunplay in it. And I'm hoping that's kind of the direction that they end up going. It's something along those lines, along the lines of Mass Effect, where yes, you have
Deus
guns.
Ex.
Yeah, or Deus Ex. Where you do have guns and stuff like that, but your stats and things like that do come into play with how your weapons handle, how your weapons deal damage, stuff like that. Yeah, and Fallout was another one that they brought up, and I agree with Riley. The Fallout gunplay is just horrid. I do not enjoy
It's very
it.
light. It's hard to take because your stats really don't come into play when you go into targeting mode. And other than that, you can just aim down the sight, and your stats don't matter at that point.
It's just a cheat basically. And
Yeah, they
overall,
just
your stats don't matter.
Yeah, they don't really mean shit. As we're like Mass Effect, you can get incendiary ammo or armor piercing ammo and upgrade it, and you can put mods on your weapons that increase the handling or the optics and stuff like that, and it really does come into play during the game. How you build your character with the biotics on top of it is going to kind of depend, or kind of have an impact on how you play the game.
Yeah, same if you have played Deus Ex games. I think that Cyberpunk actually is more compelled with that.
Isn't
In that sense, it's not Witcher 3 and Blade Runner. It's basically Blade Runner / Deus Ex. It looks incredibly like it.
Yeah, and I think you're right. It is more like Deus Ex than Witcher 3, especially because of the fact that and this is just purely speculation, but I think that that's one of the ways that they're going to do, as far as the RPG elements, is going to be some type of biotic enhancement to your body.
Augmentation.
Yeah, some type of augmentation. Yep, I speculate that's how they're going to do it. And hopefully that is. Like, that's, a very easy thing to do. It's already kind of established in the sci-fi world. I mean, we've seen it in many games, movies, stuff like that. So it's not something that's completely foreign to us.
Division was kind of RPG-ish, right? Like your stat.
Division was RPG, but it was. I think the Division was too heavy-handed with the RPG side of things. A lot of people have talked about the bullet sponginess. The bullet sponginess, I would have had no problem with it if it wasn't set in a modern setting. If I have a fucking 249 saw, it shouldn't take me 100 rounds to kill a guy that's wearing a fucking parka. Like, I'm sorry, it doesn't make any sense to me. As to where, alternatively, if it was something like, Star Citizen, where these guys are wearing huge fucking armor, then yeah, I can understand it takes, X number of rounds to break down the armor and, so on and so forth. But in a modern, realistic setting, it doesn't work, in my opinion. it doesn't make sense for me.
And I don't think it's going to take much to beat out the division. That game,
No.
like I was so excited for that game, and I felt very let down. And there was a lot of things that it did well, and there's a hell of a lot of things that needed to work on, like the whole loot drop system. Holy shit! Why is a legendary gun worse than some white ordinary one? Like it didn't make any sense.
Yeah, well, that's just kind of the nature of a gear grinding game. I mean, it's the same way in, Diablo. If you get a low-level legendary, you're going to eventually pick up a blue item that's better. That's just kind of the nature of the beast, if you will. So, real quickly, before we go any farther, again, just to make you guys aware, we are doing a couple of game giveaways tonight. The raffle is currently open for a free copy of... wow, now I feel horrible for getting
Dark
goddamn...
Souls.
There we go. Shows you how much I play it. A free copy of Dark Souls 3 with the DLC as well. So if you want to have a chance to win a free copy of that, just do ! Raffle in the Twitch chat, and you'll have a chance to win a free copy of Dark Souls 3 with the DLC. I'll be drawing the winner for that here in about 5 minutes, and then I will immediately be reopening the raffle for a $60 game of your choice, or 20, or whatever fucking game you want off of Steam. I'll buy it for you. So you got 5 minutes if you want to get into the drawing for Dark Souls, and then after that we'll do the other drawing. So next thing I wanted to get into was Claw. That was the guy's name in Black Panther. And that was the next thing I wanted to get into. Was I know Loster didn't, because he doesn't give a shit, because he's a homosexual.
Because I don't read comic books, yeah.
Yes. Hey, it's cool to be a nerd now, so fuck off.
Hey, I like graphic novels. I like Watchmen. What was the other one? Like Why the Last Man? That was really good. That was really.
You're gonna
make
say
that into a movie.
graphic novels, and you're not gonna mention the best of all.
Which one? Sin City.
Dark Knight Returns.
It's a superhero thing. I don't know.
It's still best fucking graphic novel. Or Knight's Fall, which in my opinion, Knight's Fall is the best of the DC graphic novels, which is why fucking Dark Knight Rises or whatever pissed me off so fucking much. But anyways, have any of you gotten a chance to check out Black Panther yet?
Negative.
God, you fuckers need to get out more.
I just watched
Get
Thor
Out,
Ragnarok this week, so
Thor was pretty good.
Out, just not the movies.
That was pretty good.
No, the only reason I bring up Black Panther, I enjoyed the movie, but reason I bring it up, it's huge right now. It's like the biggest fucking movie in the world. But it's smashing records all over the place, and one of the main characters in it, Killmonger, he's a very well-known Marvel villain when it comes to the Black Panther storylines. He is played in this movie by Michael B. Jordan, same kid that was in the last Rocky movie, played Apollo Creed's son.
It was Wallace on The Wire.
Yep, and he also was in the Fantastic Four movie, which I'm sure he would love to forget, and probably can now with the copious amounts of cash that he is getting with Black Panther. He can bathe himself in $100 bills and wash away the memory of playing the Human Torch. Which that was another one that pissed me off, but we won't go there. But anyways, and no, I won't give away any spoilers to the movie. But that kid, Michael B. Jordan, holy fuck, he has impressed me in everything he's been in, with exception to Fantastic Four, and I don't discredit him on that movie. Like, just the writing for that movie was just dog shit in general. They have never done a good Fantastic Four. The only half-assed decent thing about the earlier Fantastic Four was fucking Christian from Nip Tuck playing Dr. Doom, which I just dug that dude because I liked Nip Tuck. But he has definitely impressed me in all the movies he's been in so far. especially the last Rocky movie. Did any of you guys watch that movie?
Oh yeah, I'm a big
Yep.
big Rocky weirdo.
Now, be honest. How many tears did you shed at the end when they went up the stairs?
I got choked up. I got pretty.
And how many hot man tears did you shed when you basically come to the realization that Rocky has cancer and he's gonna die?
It's pretty. It's the end of an era. It's the end of
It
generation.
was fucking rough, man.
Yep.
Like, I never would have thought a movie like Rocky that is just about dudes punching each other in the face would ever make me that fucking emotional. But especially given my own family's medical history with cancer and being attached to that character for so many years now, the makeup effects and stuff that they did on Stallone to, when he started basically his chemo treatment in the movie were so fucking realistic and just like haunting to see. It was really fucking emotional, man, to see Rocky like that. Like I said, I never would have thought that movie would make me kind of get choked up, but yeah, especially there at the end when they climb the steps in front of the museum there. I was like, man, this is fucking brutal. Like, I really like this Michael B. Jordan kid. Like, he brought a lot to this movie. But I fucking hope they aren't going to try and continue the franchise on his back, because after this, that would just feel so fucking wrong, man.
Well, they got a second one coming out.
Yeah.
Creed 2.
Yeah, and like I said, if they let Rocky die in this one, in the new one, I'll be okay with that. Like, that's a fitting end, but I really hope they don't try and continue it without him. I don't think that would be appropriate at all. Like, I wouldn't want to watch it myself.
Well, they'll probably just rehash 4. Like how Mickey died.
Yeah.
Honestly, they'll probably just rehash 4, where Creed gets into a fight. He's maybe like,
yeah. Well, as long as there's no Tommy Gunn in there.
Yeah. Hit me, punch me, and I'll sue you. Sue me for what?
But no, the thing is though, like, that movie really showed how much Stallone has kind of matured as a filmmaker. Like, I know, obviously everybody busts his balls because he's not the greatest actor on the planet, even though I think that's a little over exaggerated. I mean, I think the guy genuinely really is a good actor.
He's really good when he's in something that like
suits
his.
Him.
Yeah, it's like, obviously in the 80s and the 90s, him and Schwarzenegger had that big competition of who can make the most money. It became less of more quantity over quality, kind of thing, where like who can get a bigger paycheck, him or Arnie. But I mean, there was movies in there in between that I thought, like Assassins. I fucking love Assassins. I thought that movie was great because it's like a really subtle, quiet Stallone. It's not like a balls to the wall action movie. It's that it's like this game of cat and mouse between him and
Antonio Banderas.
Antonio Banderas, thank you. It was gonna be like Desperado. It slipped my mind. But
it was also in the Expendables with him.
Yes.
He was honestly the best part about the last Expendables movie was Antonio Banderas. I mean, I was laughing my fucking ass off the entire time because of him.
Yeah, it's when he's I think that applies to most actors. I think when they're in the right role. I mean, that's why Daniel Day-Lewis only takes one movie like every 10 years, because
now he's not taking any.
No, not anymore. Yeah, he doesn't want to do it anymore. But you spend so much time trying to find that one role, and that's, I guarantee you, if Daniel Day-Lewis was in as many films as like De Niro has been in, he'd have a shitty track record too, just like De Niro does now.
Oh yeah.
So many shit movies in his repertoire that you just don't even think about him. You're like, no. Goodfellas, Casino, Raging Bull, Taxi, like that's De Niro.
Yeah.
Godfather 2, like that's what I think of. I don't think of all that other shit. That shitty movie that he did with him and fucking Travolta in the fucking woods where they're trying to kill each other.
I thought you were gonna say the one with Ben Stiller. I was like, yeah, let's not go there. Yeah, I'm sorry, but
Yeah.
De Niro is just—he's not a comedy actor. He's not. Like, he needs to be in a fucking serious, like, drama
Meet the
role.
Parents
Yeah.
was hilarious.
No, the fuck it wasn't. Like, I'm sorry, fucking. What was that fucking. Was Meet the Parents the one with fucking Cameron Diaz with the fucking comb in her hair? I can't remember.
Yeah,
Which
something
one
No, that
was
was
that?
something about Mary.
Oh, yeah. Well, whatever. That one was fucking retarded, too.
Oh, it's a Farrelly Brothers movie. Of course it's retarded. Yeah, they're all retarded.
All right, so real quick, guys, we're going to draw the winner for the Dark Souls 3 raffle. And how this will work is I'll draw the winner and shoot me a whisper on Twitch, and I'll be able to send you the codes for Dark Souls 3 and the DLC, and then you'll be able to activate them on Steam. So we're going to draw the winner for that real quick. Oh, and look at that. Fucking Loster wins. Yeah, that wasn't rigged.
Oh my God. do I have to whisper you?
You have
God.
enough room on your hard
Can
drive?
we
Buster?
can we redraw that?
I'm down for that.
All right.
Yay.
Fucking, I think he hacked my system or some shit.
Yeah, because I'm smart enough to do that.
Oh yeah, all right, good point. There's no way this could possibly be rigged because Loster could not pull it off.
Couldn't hack my way into a wet paper bag.
Okay, so what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna open up the second raffle. Now, the second raffle, as I said, this raffle is for any game you want off of Steam up to $60. I don't care what the fuck the game is. If you want Far Cry 5 or if you want fucking Japanese porn simulator, I don't give a shit.
Sexy Beach too,
Oh,
man.
wow.
Yeah, sure. But whatever you want, I will buy it for you. So I'm gonna open the raffle for that now.
Should get a fucking
Yep.
shower with that simulator.
You have to, yeah, exactly. Shower or what is it? What's the one where you gotta fuck the neighbor's dad?
I don't even want to know. But the raffle is now open for that, guys. So if you do !raffle in the Twitch chat, you will be entered in to win any game off of Steam of your choice up to $60. So good luck to everyone on that, and we'll be drawing that here very shortly at the end of the podcast. So the last thing I want to talk about today is a little bit of hardware porn, if you will.
Ooh.
I lately, or recently, I should say, I got a 32-inch TV as my main monitor. It was an early, I guess, kind of birthday gift from my brother. So now I have a 32-inch TV in the center, 24 on the left, a 24 monitor on the right, and a 24 up above. So I'm pretty goddamn lucky at the moment with all of the gear I have. Which, if you guys are looking on, if you guys are on Twitch, if you scroll down a little bit, that Amazon gear link that has pretty much everything I have on there. It limits you on how many things you can post on there, which is kind of annoying because there's still stuff like my pedals and stuff like that that aren't on that list because I can't put all of the shit that I have on there. But anyways, you can kind of scroll through that list and see everything that I have with my rig. And when I got that new TV, or new monitor, I guess, when I got that, I decided to kind of check out and see if there was some other stuff I could get to kind of improve, not necessarily the quality of my stream, but more the what's the phrase I'm looking for? The quality of life for me while streaming. And one of the things,
Streamline it.
yeah. And one of the things I've been looking at for a while is this little device known as an Elgato Stream Deck, which, for anyone that doesn't know what it essentially is a very small, like, I'd say, 4x3 inch piece of plastic that's got 12 LCD buttons in it. And you can put any image you want on those buttons through the software that it has, but you can link this Stream Deck to your OBS, to hotkeys for your computer, all kinds of shit. So I can start my stream, switch scenes, mute and unmute speakers, headphones, and TeamSpeak, OBS, everything play audio files, stuff like that, all from this Stream Deck. So I don't have to actually click off of my main gaming monitor to switch scenes or set up hotkeys on my keyboard that's going to, you know, interfere with in-game hotkeys and stuff like that. I can just reach over here, you know, an inch away from my mouse and press a button and it does it for me. Incredibly useful. Like, I fucking love this thing. I've been telling everybody about it since I got it yesterday. And for anybody that's streaming and wants to take it, you know, somewhat seriously, I definitely recommend it. It's not cheap. You know, it's like $140, $150 for one. It's not something that you absolutely have to have. That's for sure. I mean, I've been streaming for 2 years without one. But for ease of life, it's a huge, huge improvement.
It's easier than fumbling around on OBS trying to click on your scenes or trying to fumble over your hotkeys on your keyboard.
Yeah, and I actually looked at that when he told me about it, and that thing is fantastic. Like, because me, I'm an amateur streamer at best. I just do it for fun, basically. And the amount of annoyance I have having to Alt-Tab and mess with these scene transitions is just so annoying. And I can't even imagine the amount you have to do it, you know, transitioning from start to finish with music and all that stuff. Like, no way. Dude, I would love this thing.
Yeah, it's incredibly handy. And, you know, the big thing for me, because sometimes you guys will notice, like when I'm streaming ArmA, sometimes the picture just freezes. That's because I've clicked off of my main monitor. So if I click off of my main monitor onto one of my other ones to do whatever, it'll freeze the picture that you guys are seeing in the stream, which isn't a huge deal because it usually only takes me a couple seconds to do whatever the fuck it is I'm doing, but it is kind of an annoyance. Now, I don't have that problem at all. So it's very handy. Like I said, it's not something that you absolutely have to have, but if you know you want to get a little bit more serious about streaming and want to make things a little bit easier on you, I definitely recommend it. But like I said, it's not cheap, you know, at $150. Definitely not cheap, but very, very handy. So the reason I bring that up is I've, I guess, come to the kind of realization that being the hardware whore that I am, I've now found myself at the point where I'm kind of lost on what to do next. I've kind of hit that wall of, well, I don't really know what else to get or what else to upgrade. I kind of have everything I want and then some. And this is not to like try and brag like, yeah, look how fucking cool of a system I have. Haha, fuckers. I want to ask you guys if there's one thing right now that, you know, money not an object, if there's one thing right now that you could get hardware wise or software wise for your PC, what's that one fucking thing that you really want but it's just not possible right now?
1080 Ti.
1080 Ti.
240 hertz monitor.
Which may require a 1080 Ti.
Why
I
don't you
got a
just
1080,
wait?
so I'm good.
Why don't you just wait the next batch of GPUs from Nvidia coming out, like the
1180 Ti.
yeah, like the 20 something
Yeah,
or whatever.
they'll only be $3,000.
Well, that's a subject for another day, I think, Brewer. I think that's a good topic. The fucking goddamn crypto bullshit that's plaguing consumers' ability to buy graphics cards.
Well, they're supposedly making a graphics card from Nvidia just for crypto mining,
Mhm.
so
there already are graphics cards, like the blue series, the Fury series, like Blue Fury, Red Fury. They're especially meant for Bitcoin mining. They're not. They don't go around as much as they used to, but you can still find them.
So it seems the general consensus, everybody wants a fucking 1080 Ti. Am I correct?
I want
Pretty
a
much.
chair.
Well, I'd like a chair.
I would also like your chair.
I'd like a oh no, I want a DX Racer. Like the $400
yeah.
chair, but I'd love to have a fucking DX Racer. I'd love to have a desktop as well. You know.
I actually
King series, man.
I actually don't even have my chair yet. My chair is supposed to be here Thursday. Yeah, tomorrow. My chair is showing up. I'm giving my chair to my brother. But yeah, I had to upgrade. This one's getting a little beat up, and it's not quite as I guess snug as I would like, because you guys know I do racing sims and stuff like that, and I don't need a snug chair because I'm like whipping around corners and dealing with G-forces and stuff like that. It's just when I'm racing, I catch myself leaning a lot, and when I don't have any type of rear or side lumbar support in the chair, when I get done racing, my back is just in excruciating pain because I just have nothing there in this chair. As to where that new one, I've got full lumbar support, both rear and side, and that's the whole reason I got that chair. So that's that. I'm incredibly lucky that I'm able to buy a chair because I'm tired of my back hurting. So 1080 Ti's, one of you wants a chair. What about software? Is there any software out there that you guys are like, man, I would fucking love to be able to have Sony Vegas, but I don't want to pay, $400 for it, or I don't want to pay $1,000 for the full Photoshop suite.
Can't relate.
Photoshop for me.
Well, luckily with Adobe, you got the Creative Cloud, which is relatively cheap compared to you can just pay however X amount of dollars per month and have full access to it, which is a good thing.
I'm gonna go ahead and be a bit of an asshole here and say that I live in Europe and I can't relate to that problem you guys are having when it comes to software.
Yeah.
What do you mean? Extrapolate.
It's easier to sail the high seas in Europe.
Right.
It's not exactly difficult here, but they've got a few more seafaring boats than we do. Like how I elegantly word that?
Yes.
Yeah, I think
I'm using Sony Vegas, by the way, and it's awesome.
As do I. I use Sony Vegas for my video editing, and I love it. I personally forgot how much I hate waiting on videos to render, because for the longest time I couldn't edit videos, and now I can edit videos again. And those of you fuckers that watch them on YouTube, the couple of hundred people that actually do, because nobody gives a shit, you're welcome. Yeah, I fucking hate sitting there waiting for an hour for a goddamn video to render. It's annoying as shit. Although I have to admit, this new CPU and stuff is an absolute goddamn monster. Like
You lucky.
Yeah, I can sit there and render a video in 1080p and my cores don't go over 50 degrees while I'm sitting here watching a YouTube video and bombing around the fucking internet and rendering a video all at the same time. It's insane. And the same goes for ArmA. Like when I'm playing ArmA, my CPU usage, even though I'm streaming, recording at the same time, have all this shit open, like my CPU usage doesn't go over like 30%. But, again, incredibly lucky to have what I have. So the last thing I want to touch on here, and we're going to be drawing the winner for this giveaway in just a moment. Again, if you're not already in that raffle, you want a chance to win a free game off of Steam, any game up to $60 that you want, do ! Raffle, and we'll get you entered in there. But the last thing I want to talk about is kind of a tradition that we have here in the unit, and I bring it up because my birthday is coming up. Anytime that we hear that someone is having or at least anytime that I hear that someone is having a birthday, if they're dumb enough to open their mouth and say that, today's their birthday in front of me, I immediately call an all hands meeting and get everyone into the conference room and have everyone sing them happy birthday. Now, the reason I bring that up is I do not have that concern because A, nobody but 2 other people in the unit are going to be capable of calling an all hands meeting. B, I won't fucking be here. Monday is my birthday, and I am heading out to see my father for dinner and all of that good stuff. So I will be taking Monday off when it comes to all unit activity and stuff like that. I may be streaming later in the night. Hopefully some Diablo 3 since the new season started and I haven't got to play at all. And all of my fucking asshole friends are already level 70. So I may get to play some Diablo 3 on my birthday. And if I do, I will be streaming it. And you guys are welcome to stop by the stream and sing me happy birthday in the chat if you wish. But I will be staying away from all types of voice. Any type of VoIP will be muted or fucking closed or whatever, so that you happy fucking half-tards cannot sing me happy birthday on my
You're such a
birthday.
grouchy old man.
Hey,
You're literally Clint Eastwood in fucking Gran Torino. That's you.
Don't you worry. I'll tell you that much. Sunday and time zones. Operation time for you it's 2000. For me it's 3 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah.
So it's tomorrow.
Yeah, it is,
so I will sing.
Damn
you
it! It is
fucking happy
technically my birthday
Try
for
to
you.
stop me, and you would better try to stop me.
But well, yeah, actually, Sunday, Hammer is Task Force Commander for Sunday, so I'm suddenly feeling a little bit of can't make it itis coming down. I don't think I'll be there. But yeah, so I may or may not stream for my birthday. If I do, hopefully you guys will be able to come by and hang out for a little bit. It'll just be a kind of bullshit stream, nothing super serious, just kind of hanging out and having a good time.
Yeah. Do a birthday raffle and then win it.
Yeah, exactly. I win my own shit. And thank you very much for, yes, another decade down. So that's pretty much going to close it up tonight. Before we actually draw the winner for this raffle, any parting thoughts from you guys? Any last minute topic you would like to bring up?
I got nothing.
22nd podcast, and it was my first one. Why wasn't I here earlier? Damn.
There's probably like 150 other motherfuckers in this unit asking the same thing.
God damn it.
Get in line.
How does it make you feel that I was here at the same time you were for the first one?
How does it make you guys feel that Loster's been here for like 5 of them?
Loster's pretty good shit, so.
Oh, you got the fucking second part of it, right? And yes, Riley, we will be doing a Wee Woo op here in about an hour or so. Tonight is going to be the kickoff of the World War II operations with Wee Woo. So it'll be the first night we get to check all of that out. I know a lot of it's been updated. We're pretty excited to check it out and see how it is. So definitely join us again here in about an hour. And we'll be having some fun with most likely a Thompson, because that's my weapon of choice. So make sure you come back for that. So now is the time to find out who is going to win a free game off of Steam. I would say drum roll, but fuck all of you. So let's go ahead and draw the winner. And it's fucking Munson. You guys really did rig this shit.
Which
The shitty one.
No.
The shitty one.
Dual podcast winners.
I'm pretty sure this shit is rigged, god damn it. It's definitely rigged. I don't know how, because I sure as fuck, of all the people in this chat, Munson and Loster are not the two I would rig it for, so let's just make that clear.
Just say Sergeant L. Munson, that's cool.
The name is close. I mean, I could have just misread it, or I could say that I misread it.
Sure didn't say O'Leary.
Yeah, it's not that close. Alright, guys. So that is going to be it for tonight. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. I had a good time, as always. Always have a good time doing the podcast. Don't forget that if you weren't able to catch all of the podcast for some reason, that if you head over to my Patreon, where the link is down below, you can get access to the podcast immediately after it's done. But otherwise, you will have to wait a week to be able to see it on YouTube. Also, you can get involved in the podcast, whether it be sending in topics you want to hear us talk about, or actually be a guest on the podcast. Next week is actually going to be one of those. My Patreon supporters are going to be on the podcast next week. Hopefully, all of them that have been invited will be able to make it next week. So if you want to get in on that next week and kind of join the Patreon party, make sure you check out the Patreon link down below. But that's going to be it for the podcast tonight. Again, thank you guys for hanging out. Hopefully you all enjoyed. And yeah, I will see you all next time. Later.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.